Hi there, it's Tracy with another scrapbooking process video. I'm using the Thinking Out Loud kit from Scraptastic, which is the kit for the month of June. And at the beginning here, I'm just going through all of the supplies that come in the kit. I usually keep my kits in these pretty little containers and so on, but this time my kit is just in the box because I am working that way this month for a change. This layout is actually going to be quite a bit different from, well, not, I wouldn't say quite a bit, but it's a little bit different from my usual style. I was really feeling, as I scrapbooked this layout tonight, I was feeling like I really wanted to do something just different. And so there are a few things in this that I just tried to kind of like think outside the box or kind of just do things a little bit differently than I normally would have. So I will point those out as I go. So these, you saw me just kind of go through the papers there, and these are the papers that are left over as my options. So what I did was I kind of got rid of all of the papers that I knew I didn't want to use tonight, and then I was left with these ones. And these were the ones that had kind of pinks and blues in them, because I have a photo in mind. I haven't shown the photo yet because I think it's still printing, but I have a photo in mind for this layout. And here I'm sort of thinking about maybe matting this whole entire layout on the piece of transparency. So I'm just going to cut off the manufacturer strip. This is a Dear Lizzie transparency, and it's really cool. But I find that transparencies I find them a little tricky to work with. Just because they're so reflective, and sometimes the pattern is hard to see, and they're kind of a really special paper. So what I did there was I cut 1 inch off of 2 sides of that paper, leaving me a 1/2 inch all the way around. So I turned it into an 11 by 11 inch piece of paper. My entire layout is going to fit on this 11 by 11 piece of paper, and then at the very end I'm going to mat it on the piece of transparency. And then the layout will look like it's floating in my scrapbook, and the layout that I put in the other side of the page protector will also be 11 by 11, and I'll just stick it to the transparency on the other side. So what I'm doing here is I'm just taking the stencil that has X's and O's all over it. It came in the kit, and it's sort of the little bonus gift that you get when you buy 2 kits in a row. So I'm just kind of trying to vary the pattern so that it doesn't look too much like a repeated pattern. So I'm turning it upside down sometimes, and I'm just trying to make it look pretty random on the page. I made it go off both sides, both of the edges, and I'm also going to just put a little bit up here in this corner and a little bit more down here in this corner. And that's because I plan to put a little bit of embellishment on the edge there. And I just used some Prima chalk ink for that because it's handy, and I really like Prima chalk ink for stenciling because it's as I said, it's handy, and it also has like a nice creamy consistency to it, and it's easy to work with, and it's small to hold in your hand. And I find a larger ink pad is sometimes harder with these smaller stencils. So what I'm doing here is I've decided that I might want to use some of this transparency as one of the layers, just to pick up on the fact that the outside is matted in this transparency. It ends up I'm not going to do that, but I cut out the middle just in case, and I might actually do that on the other side of this layout when I do go to scrapbook that, which should be fairly shortly. It won't be, maybe within a week or so. So you can look for that on my channel if you're interested in that. So here are all of the pattern papers that I had chosen to layer, and there's the photo. And this paper here that I'm using with the diamonds on it, the pattern is so tiny and so spread out that you're not going to really see much of the pattern in these layers because you're only going to see a tiny little bit of the paper. And so I want to kind of create my own pattern paper on this paper. And so I'm just taking another stencil. This is from Another Month. I can't remember which kit this one is from, but it's the one with the feathers all over it. And I'm taking some Heidi Swapp Mist in Mint Green, and I'm just going to place the stencil every here and there and try to create a tight pattern, not pattern, but a tight random assortment of feathers using this mist. And I'm just going to clean up my stencil so it doesn't get too messy. And I'm just masking off the other parts of the page so that I don't get overspray. And there was a bit of a gap there, so I decided to spray one more time. So I created this layout in response to one of the subscriber challenges on the at the Scraptastic Kit Club. And so every month the design team will be doing a challenge that the subscribers have kind of set out for us. And this month, the challenge is to use the stencils that come in the kits. So I've used 2 of the stencils in 2 different ways, one with ink and one with mist. And so I think that using a stencil in this way really helps me to kind of have a bit more interest on that otherwise, I'm not going to say boring, but less interesting paper, because I do really like that print, but just in small amounts, you just can't see it. It looks almost like just white paper. And so now I was looking for a mat for this photo, and watch what I'm going to do here. Oh yes, I did. I cut right through that set of stickers just because I really wanted to use the denim as a mat, and I had already used a lot of the stickers, and the way that I cut it, I was able to salvage some of the stickers. So you don't see it right now because the photo is actually covering it, but there are 2 stickers under there that I can still salvage. There was only one that I cut through, and I took note of it as I cut through it, and it was one that I don't think I'll use anyways, so I just cut through it anyways. And I don't mind that it's not all the denim. There's kind of like a little bit of pink from the sticker that I cut through at the very bottom. You can kind of see it poking through, and I don't mind that. And one of the edges was a little bit too jaggedy, so I just cut a straight edge from another part of the sticker sheet, and I'm going to use that. So you'll see me do that you'll see me piece it together. So I am covering almost all of that pattern paper that I created with the feather stencil, but I still really like the look of it. So here I am. I'm going to rescue those stickers because I'll definitely use them. In fact, one of them will wind up on this layout. And then I'm just going to take this kind of remnant piece and stick it on my layers. And then I'm going to take this straight piece and stick it right over top so that it's going to fill in some of the holes. So I'm just going to do that right now. And I haven't yet glued down the layers to my background paper. So, whoops, that's upside down. I think I'm going to notice in a second. Maybe not. So I'm just using some pop dots there to pop up my photo off of the denim mat that I've created from offcuts from the sticker set. And then that love sticker that I rescued from the middle part, I'm thinking I'm going to use it there. And because this whole thing is matted on a piece of transparency, I can put that paper clip that says hello right off the edge of the paper, and it's still going to fit well within the page protector. Now, here's something that I used to really enjoy doing with border punches, is to kind of fold them over the edge of something. And so I thought I might want to do that with this Insta Love and then kind of staple it in place or stitch it in place or something like that. So it's kind of peeling up off the edge. I really love that look, but I wasn't loving the white on the pink, and I also didn't really want to mist it. So instead of putting it there, I decided to put it right here under my layers. And I think it adds a nice little bit of interest up there in the top. And oh my goodness, that doesn't look good at all. That Good Time sticker is way too bold and heavy for being up there. But this little chevron is a little bit lighter because it's smaller and it has some pink on it. The amount of navy blue on it is pretty small, actually. So I'm just kind of making myself a little cluster up there in the top left-hand corner and just moving some supplies around so that I can see what I have. And I noticed that the offcut of the chevron stickers was quite nice. I really like this. I like it quite a lot, actually. So I'm going to use it as a layer, as a background layer, my very back layer. So I'm just going to snip it off here so that it discontinues off the edge of the page, and I'm going to stick the other little piece in there. And I think that just gives a lot of interest. It's very rough looking because I just kind of roughly cut it. I didn't even off the edges or make it a smooth edge or anything, but I really like it. So now I want to put something up in the layers up here under the Insta Love, and I decided to use the word remember. Now, one thing that makes this layout really different from other layouts that I have done, not only is it going to be framed on a transparency mat and have another 11 by 11 layout on the other side of it, but also I don't usually use this many words. So I've got Insta Love, and now I'm putting remember here right below it, even though it doesn't really make much sense to say Insta Love and remember. I don't care about that in this case. And then I also have love down there beside it, and none of those words are part of the title. So I'm usually pretty particular about the words that I put on a layout. They kind of have to mean something. But in this case, I'm using the words as design elements instead of to provide meaning or to go with the theme for the layout. So I really like kind of like the loopy look of the word remember, and I really like how it contrasts with the loopiness of the white Insta Love. It's kind of like you've got the white Insta Love that's kind of like a cursive word, and then we've also got the loopy remember in a really dark, the colors provide a lot of contrast, and I just really liked that look. It's sort of like repeating the same element, even though they're different words, they're both cursive words and they're both loopy. And so I think that that is a pretty nice design element, and it's different than something that I normally do. So here I've placed my paper so that it's on the grid of my work mat, and then I just used my ruler so that I could place that sticker that was cut in half to allow it to look like it stretches across the whole page or half part of the page. And that is the ruler just helps me make sure that I placed it straight. So now I'm going to work on my title. So I pulled out a piece of wax paper, and I'm going to call this one, We Dream of Plasticine, which I really like. I think it's a fun title. So I'm using all the same thicker font for this. These are thickers that came in the kit, and they're really beautiful navy blue color, and they're foam, which is my favorite kind of thicker of all times, is foam ones. And I'm just spelling it out on the wax paper and leaving kind of space. I am going to end up cutting it into little individual words because that will help me decide how to place it. So now that it's all cut into little words, I can play around and try it like this, which makes me have to move the word love over because it's too competing with the title. I can try it like this, and I can try it like this. So this is the one that I'm going to go with. It kind of adds to the diagonal design of this layout when I place it there as opposed to the other two places. I have a diagonal line going from the top left-hand corner down to the bottom right-hand corner. And I'm thinking I'm going to put the word love here because it's also loopy and it kind of mimics the other two, the Insta Love and the Remember. It's a little bit offset from the other two, so it's not layered right under. I thought about layering it right under. It would overlap with the photo a little bit if I put it there, but I decided to put it off center just because it's a little bit more unexpected and it doesn't look so kind of bunched up and crowded as it would look if I put love right under Remember. It also allows there to be 3 of that element, of that loopy text, loopy die cut text. So now I just have my cake box out for the second time today, and I'm going to do some splattering, and I'm just going to do white first in a diagonal line that I just explained goes from the top left-hand corner to the bottom right-hand corner. One tip for using 2 different colors of mist, if you don't want them to mix, is to just dry them. Sometimes mixed mists can look nice together, but in this case I wanted the whites to be really crisp white and I wanted the pinks to be pink, and I didn't want any mixing to happen. I didn't want any pale pink splats to be on there, and if any pink splats landed on the wet white splats it would make a really light pink, and I didn't want that. So I'm just going to layer those 2 die cut hearts that came in the kit, and place my little chevron denim sticker where it belongs. I just pulled out my photo there that I snapped so that I could place that where I want it to go. And I'm going to put one of the brads that came in the kit up there as well. Now I think I'm going to place my title. I'm going to start by putting the word plasticine. And again, I'm using my ruler here. Basically, I don't need the word plasticine to be absolutely straight. I kind of wouldn't mind it to be imperfect. But I find that when I try to place things imperfect or just a little bit off, they end up being a lot off and they look really wonky. So I figure if I try to make it straight, it will probably be a little bit imperfect and have the look that I'm looking for. And it's pretty straight, actually. But it doesn't look too bad. I really wanted some of the text, and it will end up being the words other than plasticine. I wanted them to have a playful look because plasticine is a playful craft supply, and I almost wanted, I think that the word dream, when it's placed like that, it almost looks like it's made out of plasticine because it has that, like the A and the E have that, because they're sort of three-dimensional because they're foam, they just have that look like claymation type of stuff, even though it's not made out of plasticine, and foam doesn't look like that. But it just, for me, in my mind, it gives me that look. So I like that. So I placed another 2 hearts and another one of the chevron denim stickers, and I placed the darker of the 2 chevron stickers. They're both the same, but one is darker, and I made sure that I placed the darker one in the bottom corner because it's heavier. I wanted the lighter one, which has the color of pink. It's almost all painted pink, up in the top. The last minute, I decided to add this pretty felt bow that came in the kit. I think it just finishes off the layout nicely, and I'm going to snip off the overhang from the chevron negative space cutoffs from the denim stickers. And now I'm just going to run some ATG along the outsides of this piece of transparency. And I'm using the grid mat on the grid on my mat to just place it so that it's centered. And now when I flip it over, you'll see that I have an 11 by 11 space for a second layout, which I can attach to the back side of this, and then slide the whole thing into a page protector. And I'll have this really cool floaty layout. I'll actually have 2 really cool floaty layouts. So I really like how that paperclip looks overhanging the cardstock and still being kind of layered onto the transparency mat. And I really like the larger than usual mat because it just gives you a chance to take in the fact that it's transparency there, which is a little bit unusual. We're used to either a pattern paper or a cardstock mat. And I think it's going to look really cool when it has another layout on the other side. So that's what the layers sort of look like. Again, this one is a little bit different for me, but I really enjoyed creating it. I hope you guys enjoyed coming along for the process video, and I hope that you all have a really great scrappy week.